Okay, so welcome. Thanks for coming this afternoon.
Thanks for having me.
Just who is Adam Schiffer?
I am a person who is what you see is what you get. I tend to try very hard to tell it like it is, and not be the kind of lawyer that tends to tell a client what they want to hear. But at the same time, when I have my public face on in the courtroom, I try to be as fierce of an advocate as I can be.
Now, why did you decide to become a lawyer?
It just gravitated, and my strengths were the strengths of a lawyer. I was naturally good at reading and writing and argument, and only one thing you can do with that.
Now, if there were some words that would describe you, if your clients would describe you with words, what are some of those words?
I think it depends on the situation. If it's in the quiet of our office, I think they would say straight shooter. I think that if we were in trial together, they would say that I'm intense and aggressive.
And who taught you how to be intense and aggressive? Where'd you learn that? It
comes naturally to me. It's who I am. And I think that's important, to be exactly who you are. It doesn't mean you have to be the nice person. I think Joe Jamel has shown us all that just being yourself can work no matter how you are, really. But I'd say the biggest influence on me was a criminal defense lawyer in Philadelphia. And I was a baby lawyer, and I tried a civil case, a commercial case, and he was my local counsel. And he taught me to take calculated risks and to let your instincts be your guide in trial, which is scary, because most lawyers like the question to be on paper before they ask it, and the answer to be in the deposition so they can just read it back to you.
How did he teach you how to take calculated risks?
By example. It's funny because when we got started in the trial, I gave him some witnesses, and I gave him a stack of depositions this high. And I said, you'll need to read these and digest these before you take your witnesses. And one of them was an important witness. And it was clear to me that he hadn't cracked the first page of the depositions when his witness got on the stand. And yet, by the time his examination was over, the witness looked like he'd gotten out of a shower. And he just did it by listening carefully to the answers, generally knowing what the case was about, a few questions for me, and just instincts. And I just was very impressed with his letting himself really, his inner self really come out in the courtroom.
Now, we've worked together for years, both on the plaintiff side of the case and the defense side of the case. Where do you feel most comfortable? What side do you like to be on?
I like the plaintiff side. I like offense, and you get to be on the offense right away on the plaintiff side. So many cases when you're on the defense, you have to be very circumscribed and very checked in your approach to things. And it's much more fun to be able to let it hang out and be more flamboyant and more aggressive.
What was your best legal moment from that side?
I came into a case, a very complicated construction case, very late in the game. And all the lawyers were focused on 1,800 change orders. And I thought that the best way to approach the case would be to just make it about breaking promises. And that was a risky move, because all the other lawyers said, well, that's just the dumbest idea we've heard. But I didn't think we could win if we made it technical. And we tried the case. We made it very big picture. The other side made it all about the technicalities. And not that we ignored the technicalities or didn't address them, but we didn't make them the focal point. And we won a case that, by all accounts, was going to be very difficult to win. And that was one of my proudest moments on the plaintiff side, is being creative, coming up with a strategy that was out of the box for that kind of case, and we succeeded in it.
I know that when you're working with plaintiffs on a case, it's extremely stressful to not only sue somebody, but to be sued, even if you're on the defense side. So how do you help your clients deal with that stress of a major piece of litigation when there's so much at stake?
Well, a couple things. I'm constantly available to them, because they want to, if they're anxious and they want to talk about the case, the last thing they want is not to be able to get a hold of their lawyer. I try to be very prepared so that when they watch me perform, they're proud that I'm presenting their case in a way that they like. And then otherwise, you know, I try to, in business disputes, I try to soothe them a little bit. And I tell them that unfortunately in America in this day and age, getting sued is just the cost of doing business. And sometimes that helps and sometimes it doesn't. But no, it's definitely stressful. And on both sides of the docket, it's stressful business. That's why I like it.
Now, as I sit here with you, I see the passion you know, that you have and the fire in your belly around law. But what else are you passionate about?
I'm a passionate father. I'm a passionate husband. And I put a lot of effort into those two things in my life. And otherwise, you know, I'm just, I like a glass of wine and a cigar and a book and maybe, and exercise. I like to bike ride. But those are, I'd say, I'd like to be judged as a, and we all say this, and we all mean it. I think most people do, but I want to be as much of a family man as I am a professional. You
know, I know no lawyer wins them all. So when you lose a case or you have a defeat in a case, do you drill down and really determine what you could have done differently? What do you learn from the losses?
The losses are painful. Losses are very, very hard for me. But at the same time, I really try to go back and dissect my performance, the strategies, and you know, really, unfortunately, what you learn is a lot of times there's not a lot to learn. That you only control 1/3 of the equation, and you have to hope that, for example, a judge, for example, if it's a motion for summary judgment, sees the world the way you do, or the way you think he should or she should see it. And that's not always the case. Jury trials, I would say, are more predictable because I really believe that 6 or 12 people collectively get it right. And in the cases that I've lost in jury trials, at the end of the day, I can say, you know what, I see where they made that decision. You know, if I were in their shoes, I can see that. Unfortunately, as a trial lawyer, you have to get into mode so strongly that even though you may objectively see the flaws in your case going in, by the time you hit jury, you've got to really just go kamikaze and really just focus on your strengths and advocate and even though you may understand why you lost, still doesn't make it any easier.
So lastly, I want to just ask you, first professionally, then personally, how do you want to be remembered?
Professionally, I want to be known as the best lawyer in one of the best lawyers in the United States, or I want to die trying. And personally, I would like to be known as a true-hearted, genuine, real person, a good guy.